Hi
Hi.
there. How's it going?
Going great. How are you?
I'm good. Bonnie Violet here. I'm a queer chaplain with Splintered Grace. I'm a transgender drag queen and a chaplain. And this is my
Awesome.
co-host.
Hey guys, it's just me. I'm Tina Frank. I'm your conservative, mature Christian woman representative. I also am a gardener. I don't know if I said that last week. So I'm also going to say I have a wonderful aquaponic system. So part of that gardening includes tilapia.
Nice. That sounds great.
Yeah. It
Good
sounds
morning, Charlie.
impressive.
Right? I'm like, ooh, that sounds really, really good. What does that mean, actually? Good morning,
Uh,
Charlie.
that means there's a portion of our garden that is grown on top of our fish tanks and
Mm,
our raft beds that are all attached together. So we have fish tanks on the bottom full of tilapia, and on the top we can put whatever type of growing plants we'd like. So yeah,
nice.
been nice to have some fresh salad.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's been good. So anyway,
Yeah.
lots of work.
Lots of work, for
Yeah.
sure.
So how was
Uh,
your birthday? Yay! Happy
my,
birthday!
Yeah, thank you. The big 4-2. It
Oh
feels like a
wow,
very just like a random number, but I feel like it was one of the best birthdays I've had in a while. Like
that's awesome.
um I had some, one-on-one time with some folks. I went with a hike. A friend of mine birthday was on Saturday, and so
Oh,
we
that's
like
awesome.
Pisces sisters, so we went for a hike, which was nice.
That is
Um,
nice.
and then I went to dinner with my pastor friend Todd, and then he gave me a Bible, which
Oh,
it's a. Let me see if I can get on here, but it's a
oh, there we
queer
go. I see
Bible
it.
commentary,
That is
and so
awesome.
I'm really excited to. I know you've been suggesting or asking, are you reading your Bible? Not in a way that's like but more of like
Yeah,
just asking. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect because I've been wanting to try to I
awesome.
don't know, just get a different angle on things than what I've been, what I learned in church, because I used to read the Bible when I lived with you, actually, when I was
Well, it's been
like
a few years ago.
18 or 19, and I used to do it so that I could sleep. Like I would just start to read it and then I would fall asleep reading it. But when I was younger, I definitely enjoyed like the Bible study stories and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
just,
that's awesome.
yeah, I'm looking forward to sort of checking that out as well. And then I had a dinner last night with like 5 other friends, which was, I know it feels like we were breaking the rules, but we've kind of been in our own pod already. Most
Yeah.
of us have been kind of intermixing, and then I actually like had a COVID, like someone really close to me tested positive for COVID.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't really tell too many people about it, but I had found out about it on Wednesday night. And so I actually ended up going in and I was able to get tested to confirm that I hadn't gotten COVID from that exposure. Luckily, I hadn't been with that person in like 10 days or something. And
Yeah.
they were pretty sure they got it after they spent time with me, but it was still just kind of a moment where I was like, okay, I've been really
Yeah.
good. And then it's just like, yeah, all it takes is one, right?
That's true. That's true. I've heard all kinds of random stories like that.
Yeah. So thankfully, that wasn't, COVID wasn't in the stars for me yet.
Yay.
No,
Yay. And you got to get together with your friends.
yeah,
That's amazing.
it was so magical. My
Yeah.
sister Mark had me over at his new place, and it was just really just sweet. I've been really wanting to focus on like relationships
Hmm.
the last year or so, and it felt really nice. And it wasn't that it wasn't that the people that are around me are different than some of the people that were around me before, but a lot of it is just I'm different. Like
Yeah.
I'm different in how I can show up and what I expect and don't expect, and I just feel like I can just be present with people without being so needy or um
I've never imagined you being needy.
I never really realized that either, but I think there were parts of me that were not getting tended to, that I needed to take care of for myself. And I would try to get other people to kind of like do that for me. And then they never really could. And so then I would just be like resentful about it. And it's like, not really like their thing. It's really my thing. So,
Gotcha.
So that's been helpful. And it's helpful to be in relationship with people who can kind of point that out to you too, or that you can kind of like, you know, so it was really nice just to kind of sit around. And I felt like 5 of my like closest friends here in the last year, you know, I was able to sit around a table, have some cake and Kiki. And it was just a really nice.
Did you say Kiki? What's Kiki?
I said Kiki. Kiki is like, it's just kind of like to like party, hang out.
Okay. I thought it was like a food. I was like, I have never heard of that.
Yeah, no, a Kiki is kind of like it's, I guess it would be something like time spent with really people who are really close to each other and just kind of like fun and fabulousness and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad you had a wonderful birthday.
Thank you. It was nice. And what was your weekend like?
You know, I had a good weekend also. I was really blessed to be able to spend some time with my daughter, Charlie, who already said good morning. I got to go over and help her do some things around her house. She was hosting a small gathering of her friends, and I was able to participate and help and serve in that capacity. So that just blessed me a lot. We had church yesterday. We're doing live church in our church, so I was able to actually go in and have church yesterday. So it was really nice, and have lunch with some of my friends afterwards. So that was nice also. It's nice to be able to get out and about just a little bit more now. It's been a weird year.
Yeah.
It's been about a year, I think, now.
Yeah, I think it'll like be in 2 weeks. I'm like the last of my friend group who had a birthday in COVID. Like almost everybody in a couple weeks will have had a birthday, at least one birthday in COVID.
Yeah. That'll be something we all need to put in our remembrance books, be it our journals or our photo albums or whatever. It was the COVID year. It would be the selfie with our birthday hat on. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I took some photos last night with my friends, and we were like, okay, we need to Photoshop some masks in there if we're gonna public, right?
Yeah.
Public shaming. But I think that, you know, there's just some opening up that's happening, and we're all just gonna have to start to do that a little bit. There's a quality of life that needs to be experienced as well.
I agree. I think the vaccine's helping a little bit. I think I know more people now that have the vaccine that don't. So I think that's making everyone feel a little bit more comfortable also.
Yeah. For sure. And I just wanted, it was like our conversation today is happy, joy. Yes. Happiness and joy. And we got some news this morning that is not so happy and joyous. And I just want to put that out there because I know we were like, I feel like it's cool. We got in our vibe now, but I know like before we were like, I don't know, if we can do this. Yeah. But just so folks that are listening, if you pray, light candles, whatever you do, if you want to send out some good stuff and some angels and whatever it is that you do to my nephew Jasper. He is on his way to another hospital. Folks might not be as aware of Idaho, but my little brother lives in a small town, and he had to go 20 miles or 10 miles, Gooding? 10 miles?
Yeah, 10 miles.
10 miles to a hospital because my nephew Jasper was unconscious this morning with a 94-degree temperature. And my little brother then took him to the hospital, and they were able to finally get him to kind of come to for a little bit. But then he kind of went unconscious again. They thought maybe he had diabetes or it was some sort of diabetic thing. He's about 3 years old, a little over 3 years old. But they don't know that it's that anymore. So they did test that it's not COVID, but they ended up having to take him by ambulance to Boise, which is about 100 miles from where they were, in order to see some specialist to hopefully get more of an idea of what was going on. So my parents are headed that way in a separate vehicle from my brother. So there might be a chance that I might get a phone call while we're doing this. And if that's the case, I'm going to be rude and I'm going to answer it.
I need you.
But my heart just goes out to my little brother right now, because he's just been through,
a lot.
Our family's been through a lot with little ones getting sick.
Yeah. So any of you who have a prayer group in your church that might be listening, please share a prayer request. Pray for little Jasper. Pray for the doctors and the nurses as they treat him. Pray for the family as a whole. We want this to be a time of us all to be able to come together and see a miracle. And just pray that there would not be any opportunity for anything bad to happen. So we appreciate that very much. And we'll keep you posted as best we can. But yeah, same thing with my phone. I normally keep it in the other room, but I do have it next to me today. So thank you for your grace up front.
Yes.
So I think that's a good.
I need to adjust myself. I feel like I keep looking like I'm topless, and that just doesn't feel good.
I think this is a good segue to talk about the difference between happiness and joy. What do you think?
Yeah. Do you want to start us off? Do you want to define one separate from the other, or just compare them?
I can go either way.
All right. Well.
All right. I'll just. All right. So we had a good conversation in preparation for today about the difference between happiness and joy. And so I think we had a lot of areas that we agreed on, but we had some good discussion points too. So we thought it might be fun for us to just share with you guys and open up the conversation, because I think that we can only grow and learn if we ask questions, right? Mm-hmm. So if we ask questions to one another, I think it'll be a good growing opportunity for all of us. So I believe that happiness is a state of fun. It's a state of happiness. When something good is going, all the things are clicking, you're having that great day, everything's just lining up the way it's supposed to be. There's no real conflict in your life, and you're just really happy. You're happy with everything that's happening around you, and it's circumstantial happiness. That's kind of my definition of happy. What do you think? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think for the most part, I feel like happiness is very external. It's very kind of reliant on things happening outside of you. So it feels like, if like I'm in an environment and I'm around people and everything is going good, or I'm able to kind of like just feel liberated and let go of the worries, whatever, like to me, I feel like happiness is, it's something that happens externally, and that I guess you kind of get from your environment.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you say it much better than I do. I think I make it too hard sometimes. I'm learning. So, and then we have joy. Why don't you start with joy? How do you define joy?
Well, and I guess just to kind of like speak to them differently is joy to me is actually something that I think is inside of us. It's something that I think is always there. I don't think that joy actually ever doesn't exist. Like, I feel like it's something that's deep within. And we experience it when we let ourselves like connect with it, or we let it out. So I feel like it's something that I experience from within that then I can express out. But I feel like it just comes from within. It's like, I believe it's like spiritually, like, it was born, maybe I was born with it, or
I agree.
It connected to my soul or my spirit, but I feel like it lives and resides within me, and I can tap into it and I can experience it whenever I choose to. And like all those external things that make me happy, like those things don't matter. Like I can be sitting in the most horrible situation and can feel like everything is going wrong, and yet I can still feel this joy inside.
Yeah. Well, you and I are in total agreement with that. So that's exactly how I feel about it. I do believe that we are all created with joy in us, and the word talks about that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I think that's a good differentiator, because as we're getting news today that is very not happy or even joyful, it's like we're choosing, you know what, we're going to choose to be joyful. We're going to choose to trust God. We're going to choose to be an encouraging word to people who are on the front lines, and we're going to choose to be strong in that. So yeah, that's awesome.
we're going to choose to connect with our joy, even if the cat is screaming in the background. Huh?
That is true. I was hoping you guys weren't hearing that. Oh my goodness. But yes, the kitty's awake. Sorry. I usually have him outside.
Not so, it's all good. But the idea that the joy, you said joy is the strength. What is it?
Yeah, the joy of the Lord is our strength.
It's my strength. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. And I feel like that also feels like a way to utilize joy, right?
Yes,
Kind
absolutely.
of tap into that strength, tap into that ability to, I think for me, I feel like to get your life to be lifted, you know, I feel like that's what spirituality does to me, is it kind of lifts me out of whatever is kind of keeping me from with my head held high and moving forward on the path, you know. So definitely
joy is right up there with some of those other things like love that we have to choose. And no matter what.
Hi David. Thanks for the birthday wishes. And Charlie, sorry to inform you over the podcast.
Sorry, Charlie, I didn't know.
It's all been happening so quick. And you know how it can be to try to like talk to everyone, and then you want to have more information because you don't want to freak everybody out. But so apologize that you didn't get that directly, Charlie. We'll do our best to try to communicate it. There's some stuff, prayer stuff at least, posted online. But we'll try to keep everybody updated.
For those of you who are just listening and not seeing the pop-ups, Charlie said she didn't know that Jasper was in the hospital. So we apologize for you not knowing. We thought you knew.
Yeah.
So
thanks for speaking to it too.
Yeah. So anyway, happiness and joy. Anyone have any comments about that? I mean, I feel happiness every day. But there's days that I have to choose joy. Usually on a day when I wake up and my body's kind of achy, the weather's maybe not so great, or I'm dreading something that I have to do during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Those are times. I don't know how many years I hated Mondays. Did you hate that? Oh, Monday's the first day of the week. It's Monday. I've changed that with this and with just before that even. You know, I used to get up and say, okay, I'm going to make Monday my favorite day of the week. That's a joy. That's a joy response.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
I'm curious, as you know, like I'm curious how can we transmit joy, or is happiness what people experience because we're in our joy? Or
I don't know. What are your thoughts? I feel like it can be both.
Well, I'm just wondering if joy comes from within and you have it inside you, then can I give you mine, or can somehow I lift or connect you to yours?
Yes, I think so.
Like maybe you see my joy and then you can see yours, or
I think so. Wouldn't you agree?
I think so, because I still feel like it's such an inside job. Like I don't know that I can actually cause you joy, whereas I feel like I could do things to make you happy, so to speak. Even though sometimes you can't, right? But like it feels like I could maybe control some of those external things in some ways to try to create happiness for someone else. Whereas I don't think joy is something that I can give you. But maybe I can, I guess, show you or inspire you, but I don't know that I can transmit it, or can I?
I think you can create a space where people can tap into their joy and kind of guide them through that process. You know, I feel like if you could come along around someone, sometimes someone's having a bad day, or even they're having issues with, I don't know, maybe they're having, family challenges, I don't know. But just to come alongside one and just be able to listen and create a space for them, encourage them, just like you said, remind them of who they are and maybe some good things that they're experiencing that maybe they can't find in that moment. You know, we get to a point where we can have a bad day and we forget about all the great things that we really have going on around us. And we focus in on those things that steal from us our joy, so that we don't have that foundation. I think joy is a foundation, and I think happiness is a big external piece of that. But I think at the end of the day, well, you've even said it on air. Oops, my kitty just jumped on the bed. Sorry. That you like talking to me because it just makes your spirit light.
Mm-hmm.
That's joy. That's what joy feels like. So I think we can create a space where people can choose to walk into it. You can choose to be a negative Nelly and say, no, I don't care what you say. I'm not going to let you bring me up or encourage me or speak life into me. So there is a difference. And I think a lot of times people are pursuing or looking for happiness, and they articulate it as happiness, and they put the characteristics of happiness when really what they're looking for is joy.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think that's a bigger conversation. And we don't define things, I think, the way they're intended to be defined for us spiritually.
Mm. Do you think that there is a vulnerability when you're in joy or with joy?
I think there can be, because if we're
because why wouldn't we choose joy all the time? Like why wouldn't we?
I think some people don't think it's something you choose.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's where the definition gets gray. You know, how do you expect me to be happy? I just lost my job.
Right.
You know, how do you expect me to be happy? I just found out my nephew's going to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that has nothing to do with joy.
Right.
The joy underneath is the, okay, this is a horrible situation and I'm not excited about walking through it. But I know that I'm going to come out of it. I know that there's going to be something to gain out of this experience, be it the closeness with my family, be it a new opportunity to find a different job, be it an opportunity to have new relationships I didn't even know were going to be available to me. We just have to face the world with joy, choose it every single day. Mm-hmm. And when the negative stuff happens, we have to just manage it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just was agreeing.
Yeah. I feel empowered recently by the word manage, which I know seems really weird. But I've never thought about the things around me as they come at me or just happen in my life, that I have the ability to manage it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to allow it to just happen to me. I get to manage it. So, right. So you know, if I'm in the grocery store and someone comes up and starts yelling at me or gets in my face and they don't have a mask on, I get to manage that situation.
Right.
And I don't have to take it as an offense or as a whatever. I get to manage it. And understanding how to manage experiences, my life, the interactions I have with the people around me and the relationships, if I can manage it the way that I perceive and understand joy to look like, for me personally and for them, I believe the outcome is totally different than if I don't. If I can choose a joy response over an offensive response, I think it changes the situation for both of us.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, that's my word today, manage.
Yeah. Well, and so is happiness. I think there's like one thing's coming to mind is the idea of like happiness can change. Like one thing that maybe had made me happy before might not make me happy anymore. Can you think of any of those sorts of things? Where happiness has changed for you?
Yeah. Well, my job. I was happy in my job for years. You know, I 10, 12 years. I shouldn't say that. I was happy first 10 years. The last 2 or 3 was not as happy for me. I don't know if it was because I was bored or what, but I really felt like that maybe it was time for me to transition and I wasn't ready to do it. But when I transitioned, or actually my job came to an end when COVID started, I didn't get a choice in the matter. Then I was like upset, but then I'm like, oh my goodness, I found my happy again. So I started out happy. I went through this portion of, oh my gosh, because my livelihood was changing and it was scary. The livelihood that I had known for the last 10 years was gone in an instant. And then it's like, oh my goodness. And then I had to move forward and say, okay, you know what? I need to find my joy in this. I need to stand on who God says that I am and who He is. and I need to move forward. And now I've been able to move forward. I still don't have a job, but I've been able to move forward, and I'm finding happiness because of the joy that I chose to walk in now in the external things around me.
Hmm. Yeah, I hadn't realized that. I think somewhere along the way, I had come to believe that um, I didn't deserve happiness,
Oh,
joy, and freedom. And the only reason why I even say that and just kind of put that into the language is when I first got into recovery, there's something that's said often a lot is that the belief that um, God, higher power, wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. That's like
that's true.
a common statement that's made in some recovery circles. And I hadn't realized that I had kind of been living my life as if that wasn't true. Like that I believe, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't super connected with that idea that that's what God wanted for me, and that maybe that's what God's role was in my life to help me have that experience.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the way, I had started living as if like the world, and maybe the world, I don't think the world is out to get you, but I think there are things in the world that can kind of come at you, I guess. And so, but I was realizing how much I was living my life as if the world was out to get me, and maybe, and God, whether or not God was out to get me or not, but God wasn't part of that equation. Um, and so it was like, it was helpful to kind of like hear that and then think about it and realize that somehow that had changed for me. And then once I could believe in a God and a higher power and a purpose that involved me experience happiness, joy, and freedom, then I know that I can begin to do the things that I need to do in order to experience those things.
Yeah.
And not only for myself, but also with the world. And I think because I had that mentality, I settled for a lot of not so great circumstances and situations that just caused a lot more pain, or maybe I couldn't even be as like present with happiness and joy and freedom in some really
Yeah.
great environments with some really great people with some really great opportunities. I wasn't able to really fully be present and latch onto an experience in that way. Instead, I kind of, came at it differently, which
Yeah.
causes it to have a different effect.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, I think, and maybe you probably do too. Do you know anyone who has an idea of what happiness looks like? I feel like we get a stereotype
Mm.
in our head. If to be happy, I have to have, the little house with the white picket fence and two and a half kids, and I have to make this much money, and if I don't have that, then I'm not going to be happy, and I'm going to try to get, you know what I mean? And I think that's a false joy.
Well, I think that could be the performance of happiness, right? That
Mm,
could be
yeah,
a way of performing happiness to the world. You look at me, you see that I have all these sorts of things, so I must be happy, whether that's my experience or not. Like, I don't know
yeah,
how much of it is performative and then how much of it is actually, I mean, I think it does manufacture those things. Um, it, for how long, I don't know. And if
yeah,
you're always chasing that happiness in that way, yeah, I think eventually you're going to, run out of that effect from that thing. Like
yeah,
you're not going to be able
I
to get
agree.
happiness from that same thing.
Yeah, true happiness, I think, comes from our relationship with Jesus. And as long as we allow that to continue to grow in us, I think it can be infectious to the people around us.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think happiness is transmittable. Like
Transmittable.
you can transmit it from one person to another.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
I think joy can be, and it's just at a different level.
Hmm.
Well,
I
let me
think
let
it,
me
I think it
I,
trans.
go ahead.
I feel like maybe joy is it's more transmitted internally, like
Yeah,
deeply
yeah.
within, rather than like something on the outside. If
I
that makes
agree. That's what I was going to say. That's so
Oh,
funny.
I was channeling you.
That's perfect. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and one of
Awesome.
the things one of the things that I've noticed as I've gotten older that's been helpful for me to practice or to realize is that, kind of like we've talked about a little bit, is that like just because one thing isn't going well or isn't going the way that I would like to, or is causing me to feel unhappy, that doesn't have to make everything unhappy. And
Right.
I feel like, there was probably a maturity level where everything was more black and white, right? You were either happy or you were sad. You were either rich or you were poor. You were either this or you were that. And the reality of it is like, well, actually you can be a lot of things. You can be poor, you can be happy, you can be like devastated about this over here and still have another experience over here. I mean, I think ideally that's where we want to be able to get to a place of, right?
Right. We need to be steadfast or steady, no matter what's happening in the circumstances around us. That we're steady,
Yeah.
and that we can still smile. We can still care for the people around us. We can still not be so introverted that we're no good to the rest of the world.
Right. Well, and I think that's important to us. Like that's important for us, but it's also important for like the people around us, because
Absolutely.
if we take this awful feeling over here that was caused, I get to have construction, you have the cat today, so we're just stuck with all these distractions. But I don't even know what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Did you catch it? My train of thought.
we were talking about how our internal joy can affect the people around us, and how that comes in an internal level versus an outward pouring of happiness.
Yeah. So if we let something that's awful happening over here cause us to treat the people over here in a bad way from that, I mean, I think that's probably when abuse happens, that violence happens. That's when, all these sorts of things, is because we haven't been able to deal with our stuff over here in a way that needs to be, without it, creating more harm over here. It's like, hurt people. So how do we begin to have hurt, but also healing? That's a whole nother topic, huh?
It is a whole other topic. But I think you make a good point. Our emotions, which is what happiness is, can just flow through us. Okay, they can flow through us, and they'll eventually come to a point where they're not what's the word I'm trying to look for? That they're gonna it's gonna eventually fade away. Where joy, as it flows through us, it can be a steadfast space for us and for the people around us. My core value system as a Christian is that my life is not my own. And so my life every day needs to be surrendered so that the people around me can receive something good and valuable. Okay. And I don't want them to receive the momentary happiness. I want them to receive the life-changing joy. Because it's like all those things you've already said, that joy transforms all these things within us so that we can have freedom, so that we can be happy and we can enjoy our lives. So anyway.
Well, I'm curious then if you're, let's say, and I'm just
good.
So I just feel like some people might be wondering this. If your life is not your own, then what is your own?
What is my own?
What is yours? Yeah.
My joy. The fact that I get to wake up every day and participate in that day. The fact that I even woke up today is a blessing and an amazing opportunity. What is mine is my ability to choose and to choose
your life.
to be.
So your life is yours too. Would you say your life is not yours or no?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Just my life it shouldn't be self-serving. It's not about me. My life is life, but it's a life that brings life to those around me, and in that, I find life. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't find life when I'm just taking care of me.
Mm-hmm.
I find life when I'm serving and helping my daughter entertain her friends. I find life when I can stand in the gap and pray for my sister as her grandson's in the hospital.
Yeah.
I find life when I can go out and take my neighbor grocery shopping because she doesn't feel good or because she's scared of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my and that is joy. All those things are joyful to me. Not now. That said, I sometimes don't like it when I get the call that there's, I need to go to the store today. Can you go to the store today? I don't want to go to the store today. But I'm still excited at the opportunity that I get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean when my life is not my own. My life is about, I don't know, being available and being certain. But I say all that because my life has changed. Oh my goodness, so much over the years. To a point where that you and I can have a conversation. For 20 years, we weren't able to find a common space to have a conversation. And so I really believe that's because of the changes that had to take place in my life, in addition to the changes that had to take place in your life, that brought us to a point where we can now have a conversation and walk in love with one another and freedom.
Right.
So that's kind of what I mean. It's a maturing, it's a growing up. I don't make every decision based on how it's going to affect me. I base every decision based on how is it going to affect the people around me, because I know that when I affect the people around me in a positive way, it comes back to me. And that's the kind of life I want to live, and that's where joy lives.
Yeah. And I think I know for me, like, I feel like when I heard that when I was younger, I would definitely kind of feel like, okay, then I have to, like, I don't know if it's like martyr or sacrifice or like that. I feel like it can be kind of a toxic idea, unless, I'm not saying like in the way that you said it, but I think sometimes if you're not, like, I don't know, if you're just hearing it a certain way, you might just think like, I just have to give up everything of me and dump myself into, and that can become toxic when you're putting so much out. But part of that is also being able to take care of yourself so that you can show up for others, right? So I think it's just that balance of like, my life is mine, but because I have my life is for you too. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I don't know. It's more of a, I don't know the word.
We got to remember that it's not all just about the works. We're putting a spiritual connotation on a physical connotation on a spiritual principle. And so the opportunity that I have to love on people, that's what I call it when I get the opportunity to do some of that. That brings me joy. There was a time when that didn't happen. So we have to take that all into balance. Now, my joy still comes when I can just have a conversation with someone, or what else am I trying to say here? Just be available. My needs are met because of the time I spend in my quiet space with God every day. My needs are met by these same people that I serve, because they too want to receive and give back to me.
Yeah.
That's kind of where all that, I know you did you hear anything I said?
I mean, no, I was like, everything just went black and it was like bloop, and
it's all good. I kept talking, so I don't know if anyone else heard me either, but it was all good.
I'm sure it's amazing. And sometimes it does that to where, like, for us, we're experiencing something and then happening completely different for other people.
Yeah. Yeah. So Charlie says, I struggle with the balance. We all struggle with the balance. And you know what? I'm not sure that balance is even something real. Will we ever find complete balance? I'm not sure that that's even real.
Right. Well, I think the way that we can change when we feel unbalanced, it sounds like Charlie did hear all of you, so that was great.
Okay.
But I think the way that we can battle imbalance or the feeling of imbalance is to just broaden our container. So I think sometimes when we look at what this week looked like, it can feel really unbalanced. But if we look at the last month, then it could be a little bit closer to feeling like, oh, there was half time with family and half time with work, even though there might have been 1 week where you were work the whole time. Do you know what I mean? But if you just look a little wider, then I think you can start to see that there is balance, even though it might not feel like it in that particular moment. So I think balance, or that, I don't know if the balance is the term, but or even just the cohesionness, the wholeness, you like have to look further out to see that the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. Yeah,
like it's not going to be that way forever.
Right. And I don't know. I really feel like balance is a marketing tool that
Mm,
people tell us, oh, you're off balance. You need to spend more time working out. Or you're
mm,
off balance. You need to spend more time working, or you need to spend more time doing this or that. I really feel like if we could just find it within ourselves to wake up every morning, spend some quiet time to get our day set, and I believe that that time should be spent with God. I
mm.
think we just set forth and say, I'm going to do whatever is put in front of me today, and just go out with that mindset. I think it'll happen. Work may happen, family may happen, but life's going to happen, and then we get to manage the joy, the happiness, the fear, whatever it is that's going to be a part of that day, and move to the next thing.
Yeah,
So
let go of
yeah,
the shoulds. Don't shit all over yourself, as they say.
yeah.
Here's a comment and or maybe question. I haven't read through it yet, but Isaac says, I often find happiness to be aspirational. I want to be happy. I strive to make people smile. I seek the perks of happiness, etc. And I see joy as an inexplicably experiential moment of serendipity. Joy to me is something we as humans can't make happen. It is simply a gift from the moment to our most inner soul.
That's a great comment.
Well said. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I believe that joy it's like our soul. It's connected to our soul for sure.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah. I like that. And it is what? A gift, right?
Yeah, absolutely a gift
From
and
God.
a choice, and it's a choice to exercise it.
Indeed. I really like that statement.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Isaac, and your great words.
Yes. 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 What's on your plate today?
Today?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll have to see how the day progresses. I might be going home to Idaho to spend some time with my family. I think that's something I might discern anywho, regardless of the situation. But I've been kind of feeling drawn to going home for a while, but it's been complicated. So, I mean, the last time I was home was when Jasper was born.
Oh, wow. So that's been 3 years ago.
Yeah. And now he's, in a tough spot. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a good time for a visit, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I think your family would love to see you.
Yeah, I really wanted to try to get vaccinated before I go if I could. But just because I know that family, like some folks have chosen not to. And I just, I don't know.
I get that. Do you have a vaccine option?
Not quite yet. I know the clinic the HIV clinic that I go to, they are going to be offering it soon. I know they were just waiting for the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to come out because that was something that they could handle within their clinic.
Yeah. And I think that got approved, didn't it? Didn't it get approved last week?
I saw that it got announced. I saw the announcement yesterday. It could have been announced before it, but I saw it yesterday.
That's awesome. Okay.
But if it's definitely like an emergency kind of situation, I'll go. But well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing I have to think about. It's like, it's not like I can just, you know what I mean? There's just more to it than, do I go and just away from everybody while I'm there so that like I'm kind of there, or do I just,
Yeah, that's something you're going to have to work out. So wow, that's a lot to manage. Yeah.
It'll,
it'll work itself out. It'll work itself out.
Yeah. I just, I just want to show up for my family if I can, especially my little bro.
Yeah. Your little bro's not so little anymore. Oh my goodness. I'm looking at pictures of all of us. It's like, oh my goodness, so much time has passed. And I just got to ask myself, what have I done with all this time?
A lot.
Well, when you look at when I'm much older than you, well,
that's
not saying much.
Are you seeing imbalance? What?
I'm just saying that priorities change, as we get older, and I look back and I think, oh my goodness, how many joyful moments did I miss
Yeah.
or how much time did I spend pursuing happiness? And then I missed some of these precious moments of joy that I could have had in my life. I don't feel guilty about it. I'm not upset about it. But as I get older, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't want to lose any more of those.
Yeah.
I want to be attentive. I don't want to settle for happiness when I can choose to have joy.
Yeah.
And so that's really what my heart's been. But I've been just looking at all, and I don't know, get on Facebook, and I'm so grateful sometimes, as much as sometimes Facebook can be a challenge. But I love that I can see people's pictures and pictures, real pictures, not these things that are all perfect driven.
Yeah.
But the pictures of the crazy makeup and the laughing so much that you snort and stuff comes out of your nose. And, I just love seeing all those pictures of family and the extended family. And it's like, you know what? I want to have some pictures. I want to have some pictures that are joyful that I can share with my life. So,
yeah. Did you see, so Jessica got married a couple weekends ago.
Saw that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so she had a picture of her little one.
Her little girl.
Her little girl, Allison, is wearing the dress that Jessica wore when she was the flower girl at my wedding.
I didn't know that. That was that I saw her. She looked so cute. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until I commented on the picture, and Jessica's, do you recognize that dress? And I zoomed in and I'm looking at it. I'm like, well, it's periwinkle. So I think it was from my wedding. That was almost 20 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. We are not old enough to be saying that was 20 years ago.
Oh, but we are. But we are. I was resonating though a little bit, when you're talking about kind of looking back and thinking oh, there's so many things I missed out on. I knew when I even moving away from home and deciding to focus on HIV/AIDS advocacy and my political work and all that sort of stuff. I knew I was sacrificing time with my family, and my family knew that too. And I think that we all were kind of okay with it. You know what I mean? In the moment, because we did feel like it was for the greater good, if you will. But I can say that I am experiencing now what it was really like to sacrifice that. It didn't necessarily feel like a sacrifice in the moment because I was so into everything that I was doing. But now that I'm kind of away from that, I would say I'm kind of not over it, but it's been years ago that I started realizing that and starting to really feeling that it was a sacrifice, and that it did come at a price, and it did come at a cost. And there's just a certain connection. There are things I didn't get to show up for. There were still some things I was able to show up for that were significant, but there was a lot of those kind of opportunities that I wasn't there for in a way, I guess, but I was still there for them. And I think those are the things that I've had to kind of let go of, is that expectation of what it means to be part of my family's life, and I can choose to do things differently now if I want. I feel like I have more agency, and I have more awareness, and I have more strength and ability to manage, if you will, how I want to be and show up in people's life to some degree.
Yeah.
A little more so, at least.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's awesome. I for the first time in my life in all these years, I feel like finally I have some understanding and the wisdom to manage my life in a way that is edifying, not only to myself, but to the people around me, including my family.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to see us here in this position, but the last 20 years, like you said, has been a sacrifice. and the learning, the understanding, the mistakes that we've made, the missteps, the offenses we acquired, both that we took on as well as gave to other people. I mean, all those are things that we've had to work through and are still going to be working through. And building the relationships back with our family is a step in the right direction. And I think this forward motion that we're going on not only is a choice, and I think choosing and choice is a really big indicator.
Yeah.
But
I feel like choice comes like, I don't feel like I always had choice. I feel like choice, or my choices were much small. Does that make sense? Like, my understanding of that, do I have a choice in this situation? Is there only one path I have to go through? You know what I mean? I think it's taken a certain amount of like growth. I don't know the best way to say it, but for me to realize that I actually do have choice in this particular situation. Whereas there were plenty of times in my life when I really didn't feel like I had any other choice but to make the decisions that I made. And I feel that a lot less now.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, I feel like I have more, and sometimes it's almost overwhelming to realize how much power I do have, or choice I have in my life.
You're right. Choice is power. You know, the Bible talks specifically that each and every day we have the ability to choose life or death. And it's amazing to me that those are the only two options. So the choices that I make are going to bring one of those two results. Yeah. So I want to choose life. I want to choose joy. That's that soul steadfastness that comes with joy. I enjoy the happiness, though. Let me tell you,
right?
I enjoy jumping around to concerts. I enjoy hugging people. I enjoy when my grandkids call me grandma. That is like my most coveted title ever. It's right up there with wife and mom. But grandma, that I would be entrusted with another generation, that just blows my mind.
Right.
You know, so those are the happy moments that I have, and I'm so grateful. But I think I can really embrace them because I have a joy that's like we talked about from the beginning, that was put in us in the very beginning, that I've been able to access because I'm choosing life every single day.
Yes. Wow. That we've had a great episode today, huh?
Is it over already?
Pretty much, yeah. We have
oh my goodness,
7 minutes before I'd have to edit, and I don't want to do that.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been a really conversation. I'm glad that we were able to kind of just stick with it and move forward in this moment. I really got a lot from having the conversation. I hope that other folks did too. We'd love to hear your comments or your thoughts.
Yes,
please leave them in the description, and we'll get back to them. And then also, if you have any ideas for our topics next week, feel free to let us know, or future weeks. I think were we thinking about talking about integrity? I don't know.
We were talking about it one of these weeks.
So maybe we'll talk about integrity, unless something, I don't know, more.
Unless we decide on something else.
Something more sexy comes up to talk about. I don't know.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, do you want to take us out?
Sure. Hey, you guys, it's always a pleasure to spend our Monday mornings with you. It is a great honor that you would just allow us the opportunity to have a conversation. We covet your prayers, and we ask you continue to pray for little Jasper and for our family. We believe that there's power when you guys and us come together to pray. And so we just really appreciate that. So have a wonderful rest of the week, and watch our Facebook feed to know what we're going to talk about next week. And if you have any great ideas, make sure to share them. God bless.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Love you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Splintered Grace Podcast is brought to you by a queer chaplain. Follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at a queer chaplain. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. Feel free to tip us at Venmo, Bonnie Violet, and support monthly on Patreon. The song is original by Steven Sandnoff, The Chasm Between Us. Rest in peace, Steven.